How delusional are you about your favorite character? Who here can attest to writing entire paragraphs about their special little man or woman being so sexy and cool and deep, when in canon, they're just Bob? Credit to Reddit user OveradventureFalls12 for starting this thread on the fanfiction subreddit. And let's go read some answers. This one made me laugh because one of my favorite fictional characters is named Bob. I feel like this can happen with the Nintendo blorbos, but that's alright. If they don't want to dive into the character potential, that's just more for the fans. He's angsty and deep, I swear. He's a theater kid with daddy issues. I would kiss him and tuck him into bed and care for him and love him, and he's older than me, has taken care of himself for 20 or 30 something years, and has killed people. My blorbo appeared in like 2 episodes of a 1,000 plus episode series, had no backstory whatsoever, did like one thing, left behind a billion questions, and never appeared again. Like 99% of my fandom either hates him or doesn't care about him, but I am crazy for this man, and I will defend him from anyone who claims he's evil, cause he literally did nothing bad in the show, and is friends with an empathetic species that is known for being extremely wary. I love creating excuses for their war crimes. Guilty as charged. If I like a character enough to write for them, especially if it's a long fic, you can bet I'm going to gush about them in the hopes that I can draw more love and attention their way. Shiva of the East from Dark Souls is a prime example for me. The guy has little more than an extremely minor role in the game, with lines of dialogue that number in the very, very few. Nevertheless, I've written more about him than possibly any other character. He captured my heart and rekindled my desire to write. Best man. I absolutely adore him. Sophina from the new Dungeons & Dragons film is a macabre villain with no backstory, so I wrote her a tragic origin story with no basis in canon whatsoever. Sometimes I just have to come to terms with and accept that Tech from the Bad Batch is one of the most insensitive characters in the entire Star Wars canon, and whenever I write him, he's 100% out of character. I'll get obsessed with some gremlin of a character, and from my descriptions alone, you'd think they were the sexiest person to walk the face of the earth. I'm certain my blorbo is a good and sweet man. Never mind the countless people he murdered, marriages he broke up by sleeping with random married women, destroyed his best friend's life by stealing his wife, caused the death of his other friends, and all the other heinous crimes he committed. Oh, well, my blorbo is such a freaking romantic. I mean, so romantic he killed his lover in cold blood, and then tried to kill his former lover as well, and then tried to kill the person who turned his advances down. But, you know, it's because he's so romantic and great at sex, right? My blorbos are socially awkward as all hell. One is just the drippiest wet cat in any room, and they sort of caused an apocalypse. Here's some smut of them being very good at sex. My brain is filled with him because his canon did him freaking dirty. I have a whole cinematic universe just so I can give him the happy ending he deserves. Mood. I have to keep a master list of the multiple alternate universes I've created just to save mine from the massively crappy fate canon vested upon him. I'm up to 13 completed, 3 works in progress, and 8 more in the planning stages, each a completely unique resolution that is not canon. Spite is an excellent motivator. I think Hector Barbosa from Pirates of the Caribbean is sexy and cool and deep and philosophical, and he's just a big softie at heart, but he has to be mean because he's a pirate. He's misunderstood, I promise. My blorbo in canon is just a funny little clown dog, but I gave her much more depth and personality in my fic than her source material probably ever will. Extremely. When I write romance fics, it's always from the perspective of his partner, so that I can simp for him. I do this too, but I simp for both him and the partner. My blorbos are all canonically either the most plain white bread men or absolutely deranged and evil, but if you ask me, I will describe them as adorable and beautiful and handsome, the funniest, most romantic person you've ever met. I am so unwell about them. Character. Commits so many murders while laughing. Me writing him. Yes, this is my precious baby boy. Yeah, basically. My blorbo has literally committed murder and major acts of terrorism, such as blowing up a country, all while laughing, and I'm still over here just obsessing over how awkward he is when trying to interact with my other blorbo. I feel so called out. Like, yeah, my blorbo's totally fixable. He just needs a found family and some self-reflection. He'll be fine. Also, he's touch-starved because... I said so. To be fair, he does act the most at ease in the show whenever he's being hugged or someone's put their hand on his shoulder. So... my blorbo is canonically dead. I could write you an essay on why he's definitely still alive, and I refuse to accept the last piece of canon material in which he is in even exists. Though that's basically the majority of the overall fandom, and not just for him. Oh, it isn't that she's actually less complex of a character than I'd have you believe. Even the most zealous fans who don't like her are willing to give her that. It's more that she got character assassinated in canon, and everyone seems to take that as the sacred final word on the subject, even though after it we were given smoking gun evidence on how her downfall was orchestrated by another character. I can't help it. She said, "Fix me, motherfucker." And I said, "I volunteer as tribute." I have a particular pair of characters, a specific ship if you will, and they are almost constantly on my mind. New fandom? Start thinking about possible crossovers I could write for them. Great fanfic? Start imagining how they'd change or affect the story. Read an interesting romance? Start comparing the couples to this pairing and listing similarities or faults. One day I will get all of these Persebeth ideas out of my head and into a story. But sadly, it is not this day. The source material for the character I write for does everything possible to tell you that she is not important at all, and you, the audience member, should not care in the slightest about what happens to her. Me instantly cares more about her than everyone else in the entire franchise. Sure, he's an evil, fucked up guy who had beef with a child on site, and may have committed many, many murders. But have you considered, what if he was very sad, What if when he did all the very horrible things he felt bad about it, but felt trapped with no other option that wasn't a greater evil? He's truly very sorry and just needs a place where he can do actual good, and he'll definitely do better next time. I'm writing a dark fic one-shot about the tragic nature of a villain from a Christian show, and how he had essentially been experimented on against his will, treated as an outcast while his owner continued to get praise for his creations, and became alone in a society that does not want him, causing him to become the dangerous criminal he is known as, hiding his desire for love and friendship in a cold metal husk. In reality, he became evil because people made fun of him for being a small hamster, and his owner is a pretty decent guy who was the only person who treated him nicely at school. Welp, you got me, officer. The kiddo lives rent-free in my head because official canon kicked him out of the House of Relevance and only forces him back in for non-meaningful cameos. And I'm afraid until these stories I dream up in my head are out to the world and finished, and canon continues to ignore him, it won't stop. My Johnny boy is a sweet Arrow Ace man who got hurt a lot, but he would absolutely comfort you so tenderly, and he's a great person although he was abused and mistreated by his enemies and his own country. Please forget that violence is the only solution Rambo ever knows to any problem at all, that he is deeply traumatized and would need so much therapy, that he is self-destructive and a great risk for society, that he was in the army, which is a concept I'm not the greatest fan of, and so on and so forth. And obviously Rick Sanchez is not at all a fucked up and horrible grandfather, but he's a genius scientist who just wants to get revenge for the death of his wife. And Dream of the Endless can totally communicate very well and does not have way too high standards after coming back at all. And BoJack Horseman is totally not... well... I totally didn't write a character analysis for them that was about as long as some of my university essays. And I'm definitely not planning on writing an entire post-canon longfic where I dive into their self-hatred and trust issues to try to give them a redemption arc, while in reality they were just a misanthrope who tried to kill every single person on the planet. Me staring at the whole-ass personality and deep intricate backstory I gave to the canon fodder redshirt who has like 2 lines in the whole game. And both of those lines are missed if you don't play on easy mode, which most people don't see because he doesn't show up in normal gameplay. I'm normal, thank you. Delusions also go the opposite way, right? Literally 50 years and billions of dollars have gone into making Darth Vader the juggernaut of badass media villainy. He's Lucas's special little chosen one, with everything from the costume design to the buttery voice of James Earl Jones backing the image. Anyway, he's my 7-foot deep-fried loser so high on painkillers he sometimes hallucinates being a wife guy instead of an industrial-strength weed whacker. But if we're delusional, how are we supposed to know? By being at the extreme end of the insane part of the sane-insane spectrum, that you eventually do a 180. I am so very normal about my blorbo from my show. So normal. I am so freaking normal. It's weird how normal I am about them. The most normal person ever. I am insane about them. My favorite character hasn't even appeared yet, and I think I have more source material on him than the author themselves. They could literally hire me to write his fight at this point, and I'd do a good job. Well, time to make yet another 9,000 word essay about my baby, complete with red circled manga panels. Big thank you to my Patreon members, my Little Ruse, Kuski55, Logan, Fallen Vexen, Sam, Donka42, I'm a Noodle, and John Huang. Thank you so much for your extra support, it means the world to me and I am so incredibly grateful. Thank you for being here and I hope you're doing well. The same goes to my YouTube channel members, my Mini Ruse, AD, Taylor Thompson, Logan, Foxstar Killer, and DeBella. Thank you for being a part of my channel, I'm so glad you're here. You guys are awesome, and I hope you're doing well. And thank you to everyone else who watched. Tell me, how delusional are you about your blorbo? When there's a character I really like, I definitely do fill in way more information than canon does for them. So tell me, in what ways are you delusional about characters you like, and what characters are they? I will enjoy reading through your comments in the future, and I will see you in the next video.